what it is, what it do. We are back with the MEAC'n UP Hour crew. Y'all like how I rhyme that? I've been working on that. I've been working on
Uh,
that.
uh,
So y'all know what it is. We're back, and it is it's gonna be a great show because, as everyone knows, this was a big week in the world of HBCU football and sports. We had on this past Wednesday, December the 13th, we had the Florida Beach Bowl. And then on this past Saturday, yesterday, we had the Celebration Bowl. So we're going to jump into it in just a second, as we always do. Let's open up with some shout outs. Coach, since I got you here, I'm going to start off with you, Coach Kid. You got any shout outs you want to give while we open up?
oh man. I thought, see, I'm so used to you caught me off guard. I'm so used to going last. I'm so used to being last. But shout out to Cricket. And I thought they did a fantastic job with the Freedom Bowl. Listen to me, with the Celebration Bowl.
I think you did
You
that one time.
you know, we gotta give a shout out, and I all great job, FAMU. Shout out to those guys, and I'm excited about who we got on the show, and just excited about the show. Period, man.
No doubt. D Mac, who comes ready and willing to get it started. What you got
Oh,
for me?
I forgot one. I
Oh,
forgot one.
go
Shout
ahead.
out to my Aggies for finally winning a basketball game the other day.
Yes,
What I
I heard they beat Peeler Recreation
Yeah, I was
Center
about to say that they beat Denton.
in an overtime
Hey
thriller.
man, hey man,
The
you
overtime
take them,
thriller.
you take them when they come. You take them however they come. I'll
So,
take it.
so
Like who they play? Page?
I think so.
Texas
I
Southern,
think so.
man. They beat Texas Southern, man.
Oh,
Come
for
on
real.
now. But
All
Texas
right.
Southern was 0. They were 0-8.
The battle of the defeated. Well, congrats to the Aggies. D, what you got? What you got?
Not much, man. I want to give a special shout out to the Riverside Pirates here in Durham. They've been on a 7-game win streak. Last 6 games all by double digits. Good. They on a good roll, man. Shout out to them. Proud of my son Robert playing. Only sophomore on the team, starting. Got a big dunk the other night. So I'm enjoying this run though. Especially as
Salute.
not the coach.
Doing stuff that his daddy couldn't do. Go ahead, Robert.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway,
I
anyway.
can see that.
Now his daddy could dunk the heck out of some McNuggets. Now I will tell you that.
He was a good McNugget dunker.
He
He
get,
was a good. I think.
if you
I think.
get a
I
20
think.
piece,
I.
he was taking it to the rack.
I
I'm
think
still
D
getting
was
I'm
top.
still getting them in.
I
I'm
think
still
D
getting
was
the 20
top
pieces
5.
in
I
though.
think D was top 5.
He
Definitely
was
top
top
10.
five McNugget dunker. All right,
Definitely.
and last but not least, Will McKay, what
Definitely.
you got? You got the opening
Whatever.
shout out. We can't hear you,
We
McKay. We
can't hear
can't
you,
hear you.
McKee.
Yeah, he giving a shout out to the School of Deaf Blind.
Oh, see that. Let me go ahead and do my disclaimer. See, that's
Hey, you
uh,
worried about
I,
me?
the
Worried
disclaimer.
about me?
The views and opinions expressed
First of all,
are
my
the
own
Oh
views
brother
and
man,
was
look,
opinions
worried
of
they,
about
they
me.
those
they did they didn't
individuals
hear it. They
and
can't get
not
offended. They didn't hear
necessarily that of the
You
show.
worried about me?
it.
But why we get back?
I'm wondering why D included the blind. Like,
That's,
he's,
that's, that's
I'm
see,
like, why? How the blind get involved in
see,
this?
see, see. Once again,
they
views and opinions expressed
they
Oh,
by
ain't
the
offended.
guest are those views and opinions of those individuals and not necessarily those of the show. So
Oh man,
while
yeah, we're just having
Mac is
fun.
getting his audio straight, let me just give a couple of shout outs myself. I usually do, and I almost forgot. Just want to say, once again, shout out to both of the uh, bowl games. I was able to catch both. Uh, and shout out to all those teams and schools once again for their participation. Want to send a shout out to, once again, the inspiration for this uh, segment that we call the MEAC'n UP Hour, and that's a shout out to those brothers down there that are swacking the food. We truly want to support and send a shout out to them and all they're doing. And once again, they were the inspiration for this platform. So um, we got something special for you. Uh, and usually we jump right into talking junk and chewing up the fat about the games. But before we got a special guest that is joining us tonight, um, who is going to guide us in a conversation. We got into a couple weeks ago just talking about the recruiting processes and how to navigate that landscape and just uh, just college athletics in a whole. We have our experiences, but now we're going into a conversation uh, with a good friend of the show, and that guest is none other. Hold on, I thought we had Mackie coming back. I think he's still getting his audio and visual straight, but we're bringing on none other than Mr. Michael Dearman.
Yeah.
How you
Mike
guys
Dearman,
doing?
what's going on? What's going
Hey,
on?
Look
hey,
at him,
doing
man.
good, doing good. Truly honored to be here.
Yeah, we're glad to bring you on. We were gonna try to get the symbols and everything, the bands, but I haven't mastered everything on this board yet, so we don't even have the clap. So I apologize, but we're
It's
just
all
glad you
good.
could join us, and
Oh
um,
yeah.
we
It's truly
wanted
an
to
honor
kind
to
of
be
go.
here.
Yeah, we wanted to go into this conversation, but just kind of give everybody an introduction of yourself,
Okay.
and then we'll kind of get right into the conversation.
My name is Michael Dearman. I'm a native of Greensboro, North Carolina. I went to James B. Dudley High School, played basketball there, graduated in '87, went to St. Augustine's College in Raleigh, played there for 4 years in the CIAA. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Uh, yeah, played in the CIAA. Um, Not too many accolades, just a little something. Good hard player, and whatnot. And just happy to be here on the show with you, young man.
No doubt,
Man,
no.
Dearman, tell them about what it's like to play in a CIAA tournament, man.
Oh
Yeah.
man, the
Tell.
CIAA, the CIAA is a whole nother level of basketball tournaments. I mean, you have all types of genres, all types of folks there. It's sold out every year.
Yeah.
Um, you have Mr. CIAA, who's been walking through the stadiums for years. He switches suits about 50 times within 4 hours, matching all of the CIAA school colors.
Yeah.
And the as far as on the court is very competitive. We have some NBA players that have played and still play in the league, and CIAA is and truth be told, it is the very first conference basketball tournament. The
Hmm.
Hmm.
very first. It is older than the ACC, the
Yep.
any of them. It is the very first conference basketball tournament, along with CIAA was the first, if not the first, one of the very first to get a shoe contract with Converse back in the day.
Okay.
That's right.
Yeah, so
Yes.
it's the CIAA is a very competitive conference. Is like I say, we have some great players that come out of there and currently still playing in the CIAA.
Now,
Yeah.
before we get into it, I gotta ask this. I'm glad
Uh-huh.
Ken opened that up.
Uh-huh.
So, who? when you played, who do you
Uh-huh.
feel was probably the best player in the CIAA at the time,
Oh,
besides yourself? Who
Besides
was
okay,
the best
yourself.
okay.
player in the CIAA you played against? Well, that's what I wanted to say. You played
Well,
against during your time in St.
at my time, back in the day, he played for, well, about all of them played for Virginia Union.
Yeah.
Um, um,
The original White Shadow.
yeah, the original White Shadow, and
Hmm.
Wallace, Ben
Oh,
Wallace was one of them.
Yeah.
He was a great one. He also had a cousin that played prior, no, a little bit after him. That was he was awesome too. I don't think he made it to the league. I can't remember his first name, but he was a smoker too. And also, it's another one. He played. Terry Smith. He played for the Miami Heat. He came out of
yeah,
Virginia. And AJ no, I can't remember his name, but he came out of Union along a year after Terry Smith. I think his last name was English. He played for
yeah.
the back then the Washington Bullets.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. So
That's
yeah,
all.
and there was a couple of guys from St. Aug that were great players, but they just didn't make it to the league. They went overseas and whatnot. But those were the ones that really stuck out in my mind. Actually, Norfolk State had a cat. I can't remember his name. He was really good too. So Norfolk State had some good folks too. And truth be told, a lot of people didn't know that Norfolk State, uh, Hampton, um, A&T, all of them came out of the CIAA.
CIAA.
A
Yep.
lot of folks
Hmm.
didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
But Morgan State, UMES,
Maybe you and me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all of them. Yeah. Yeah.
Bowie. Yeah, all
And
of them.
they
Yeah.
all did. Yeah. And they broke away in 1971.
Oh yeah. Oh
The
Yeah.
seven schools to for the MEAC. But yeah,
yeah. Oh yeah.
CIAA was the birthplace.
Oh yeah.
But
Yes, it
yeah,
was. Hmm.
and but you was a bad man too. I had the
Thank
privilege
you.
of being able to play with Derek a couple of times. He was our ringer in the Doctor's Lawyers game.
Oh, I remember that. I
And
remember it was the doctors against the lawyers.
yeah, man. And I had the honor. I was like, that's a bad. I said, Mama, there go that man again. Because that's a bad
Yeah,
man.
I remember that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, because they didn't know
We
what
had
to
some,
do. They couldn't, they didn't have
they
nothing
could,
for
they couldn't mess with it. Couldn't
them.
do it.
Yeah,
We
I
well,
had
let
some
me
remember.
fun.
let me kick it off, and then everybody could jump in. So, like I said, we wanted to kind of talk about recruiting and give some advice for those who are watching to share if they have kids getting recruited because you have two sons
Yeah.
uh, played college basketball. So real quickly, just kind of I want to go through both sides, like the recruiting class. I mean, the recruiting process with your sons, and how was it comparative to when you were being recruited? Like, did you
Okay.
see any similarities, differences? Like, did that help
It's
you? Talk about
uh,
that.
it's funny you say that. When I compare my recruiting to my son's recruiting, it was totally different. To be honest with you, UNCG was looking at me, and UNCG coach, he called me and he invited me over to take a tour. I took a tour of the school and he showed me the facilities. And actually, this was right before they built the gym that they currently have now. So I'm telling my age and everything. So yeah, so we took a tour and everything, and everything was on track, except for my SAT scores hadn't came in yet. But to be honest with you, I took the tour and everything, and my mom, she didn't even know that I was taking the tour at the school. So it lets you
Wow.
know the recruiting is totally different now because he contacted me and just said, "Hey, come on, I want to show you the school. I want to talk to you about this." He told me about the academic stuff and everything, and it just blew my mind how things have changed.
Yeah,
But when St. Aug contacted me, my parents they knew about that one. And so we took a tour of the school and all my scores came in. I ended up going to St. Aug. There was a few other technicalities that didn't allow me to go to UNCG, but I think it all worked out for the best. As far as for the recruiting with my kids, back then AAU had just started. I think I was on the first AAU team here. Fred, out there at Greensboro Day School, he had handpicked a couple of guys, and myself, Freddie Barnes, T.Y. McMillan. I don't know if y'all remember
Wow.
John Leone that played at Grimsley back in
Yeah.
'87.
Wow.
Clay Howard that played at Southeast, a couple of cats from Smith. So Freddie handpicked us, and that we were like the first AAU team. But of course, now AAU has evolved. It's totally different now. So
Hmm.
um, if you have a kid that's playing AAU ball and want to take it to the next level, then I think Rick Lewis he's doing a great job over there with that phenom camp, getting the kids exposed to different coaches, different colleges, different universities. He's doing a great job. But the thing about it is parents need to recognize where their child is. Okay, if your child is a 5 star, then your child need to be playing on a D1 type AAU team, like your Chris Pauls, like your CP3s, your team loaded, all them teams such as that. Now, if you have a kid that may be 2, 3, 4, or 2 or 3 star, midway, then yeah, if you're on a CP3 or a team loaded or Division 1 team, that's cool. But is your son getting the quality time that he needs? So you may want to find what I call like a mom and pop type of AAU team, in which that's what type of team that we had. We had what you call a mom and pop because we were going up against your CP3s, Team Felton, Team Loaded, uh, teams out of Raleigh that were pretty big. So it was hard for us to get your big 6'8", 6'9" guy that could actually play. So when I say Rick Lewis did a good job, Rick Lewis he does a good job with that phenom of bringing
Hmm.
in Division 2 coaches, D3 coaches, and he breaks it down to them and say, look, all of y'all not going D1. And a lot of parents have in their heads, oh, my son going D1, my son going to NC State, my son going to Cal. No, your son cannot compete on that level. You need to recognize that. So, with my boys, I feel like me and my wife, we put them in a situation where they got in where they can fit in. Okay. And with that being said, they played AAU ball. Matter of fact, my oldest son played with Brian, your
Yep.
cousin. Yeah,
Yep.
played with Brian. So, of course, the parents and the kids need to realize, okay, everyone's not going to go D1. So let's find the school that you can go to. Now, with my two boys, they went D3, in which I'm not mad at them for the simple fact that the schools were really after them. The schools were in touch with me and my wife. The schools were in touch with my boys. They were like, can they come down? Can we? And I mean, some of them schools, they rolled out the red carpet for my boys. Now, and I'm going to tell you now, don't look down on D2 or D3 schools
No,
because
no, no,
in,
no, no,
in,
no.
in the long run, a D3 school could do you better in the long run than a D1 school for the simple fact that a D2, a D3 school is much smaller, is more hands-on. The personnel know your child better than a D1 school. You go to a D1 school, you number 46539 Johnson, or you just be another student out there or a student athlete out there. All right. So with that being said, with these D3 schools, they help you after you graduate. Prime example, they help both of my boys get into internships that can help them to get a job after they finish playing sports. And with that being said, I may jump around a little bit, so I hope everybody can stick with me. With that being said, Rick Lewis brought in these D2, D3 coaches, and of course, he had the D1s in there
Oh
and
yeah.
whatnot. But those coaches they came in and our boys performed to a point where the coaches really liked what they saw, and my boys wanted to go to those schools just as much as the schools wanted them. And with that being said, the schools offered us full rides. My boys got a full ride, so that right there is a plus. Now, there was a kid on my AAU team. He was the second highest academically, not the valedictorian, but the salutatorian.
Salutatorian. Yep.
Salutatorian. I had a kid on my AAU team. He was the salutatorian. He had Duke, Carolina, NC State, Ivy League schools calling him for full rides for academic scholarships.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think y'all might know the guy who helped me coach my AAU team, Daryl Cheeley. He went to A&T.
Oh yeah.
Jeez,
Yeah, Cheeley.
Gee.
jeez.
So
We coach
the
Shout
football
out,
with it.
jeez.
Yeah,
yeah,
gee.
so the kids who had all of these academic scholarships to all these Ivy League schools, ACC schools, D1 schools, they were after him academically. But he came to me and Cheese and said, "But look, coach, I want to play basketball." And so Daryl and I, we sat down with him, we talked to him, and we told him, we don't want you to be 20, 30 years down the line saying, man, I wish I would have played college basketball. So what he did was he broke it down. School D3 school were looking at him just as hard as the D1 schools, but the D3 schools was looking for him for basketball. So he broke it down and he got a full ride to a D3 school. And guess what he's doing? He's playing basketball. As a matter of fact, he's over at Guilford College playing now, Julius Burt. So he has what he needs to do. And like I say, some parents and some kids may not see that. Yeah, your son might get to go to South Carolina State or UNC Chapel Hill, make the team, but what is he going to be doing if he's not a five-star player? He's going to be sitting the bench. So he
Mm-hmm.
may play JV, he may do this, may do that, but the simple fact is every kid in the world who goes to school to play basketball wants to play basketball. They don't want to sit on the bench. So my thing is with the recruiting, go to a school that wants you. Don't go to a school where you want to go, because if you go to a school where you want to go, that coach has a whole different agenda. So go to where the schools are actually knocking at your door and wanting you to come to play for them, as
Amen.
well as being a
Amen.
student athlete.
Yep.
And
Mhm.
I think
Yeah.
it's and you speaking truth, because when that was the hardest thing coaching these kids with, with parents and everything, and what Ben and what we used to always say, go to a school that wants you. And I thought one of the best things is talking to Keith Gatlin when he was at Wesleyan, and he came
Mhm.
and talked to the boys, and he said, "Man, you need to pick a school that, one, that wants you, and two, that's got your major."
Yes.
And that
Mhm.
because life goes on beyond basketball, and a lot of these kids don't realize, you see cats retiring for basketball in their 30s. Well,
Yeah.
most people are just getting their careers started in their 30s. So you got to understand there's life after basketball that you got to look after, or if things don't work out, you got to think of your future. So a lot of times it's hard for parents to grasp because we as parents see our kids greater than most people see, and we want the best for our kids. But
Oh,
I think with our guys, we try to be real, and a lot of things that people don't like to hear is honesty. And that's the tough part of coaching or mentoring or being a parent.
oh,
Yeah,
oh, yeah.
you said 30.
Yeah.
Most people are retiring from basketball at 18. So that's like it, your your career is over after high
I'm
school
talking
for the
about
most
in
part.
college. I'm talking about college. If you hit the
But
college.
but
There
no,
you go. There you
I,
go.
I
There you
no,
go.
I think it's no, seriously, because that's the
Son, your
and
career's
that's
done
what our
now.
program does. Our program, because we have a basketball team too, but our program is largely about finding what's next before you even get to that stage where you have to face that harsh reality that you wanted to go on to a D1 or D2 or D3. You have kids who are trying to play basketball that are never going to reach that level at all, like any level. NIAI, like none of it. So there's getting them ready for that. But I did like what you said, because it's about one, going where they want you, and two, where they are. But you were talking about the D1 level basketball teams. I've seen now where the mom and pops play against they go chase the D1s. What do you think about the mom and pops who chase the D1s to get their kids recognized? Because there's more than one way to get recognized,
Oh, yeah.
and you don't have to play for CP3
Right.
to be on that same stage.
Right. I don't have a problem with that. And to be honest with you, when we played AAU ball, we actually went to a few D1 tournaments and played
Yeah.
those D1 teams. Now, my only thing is this though. With a mom and pop type AAU team, I can see us playing against one top notch D1 AAU team that weekend. Now, if we get to playing 2 and 3, that breaks my kids down mentally. And now I got to go back home and I got to go to a little mom and pop west, all the way up in the mountains of North Carolina type of tournament to build their ego back up. I got to go find a team now that they can go beat up on. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because of the simple fact that the mom and pops AAU teams don't have the bigs. They don't have the big guards is like some of the D1 AAU teams do. But now, don't get me wrong. The mom and pop teams have players on their team that can play on the D1 AAU levels and
Yeah.
on the D1 college level.
Yeah.
It's just that sometimes they don't get recognized like they should.
Right.
Do
Prime
you think that's what
example.
happened to Ja Morant?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and it's like, if you don't mind, I want to use my son for instance, my youngest son. He's played against several D1 players in AAU ball. He can play with them. He can play on that level. But, and what they say, at the right place at the right time, sometimes that stuff is politics is what I'm looking for. Sometimes politics kick in.
Yeah.
And
Politics, right word.
exactly. So you got the guards that's on a CP3 or a team loaded that's already got that recognition, but then you have a kid on a mom and pop team that can play just as well or better than them cats, but the politics kick in. Okay. So that shouldn't discourage kids. Keep it moving, because when someone has their breakthrough, be happy for them. Okay. Be happy for them, because where you are right now, your breakthrough hasn't come yet. But guess what? It's coming. It's coming. And a lot of kids don't realize that. Grown folks neither. Grown folks neither, because a lot of grown folks want that instant gratification right then, right now.
Some of them
That's
want it
right.
more than the kids, man.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's rough.
Yeah. But yeah, you have to the going against those D1 teams is good. It's good, but like you say, you gotta pace it. You can't have your kids going against 2 and 3 big D1 type AAU teams the full weekend. Okay. So that'll break you boys down mentally and physically. But it's still good.
Hey, Mike. Man, I want to thank you for coming on. And you've been a tremendous guest. We learned a lot. And wanted you to come on. Really, we talk a lot every week about the games and the politics of the MEAC and the HBCU versus PWI. But at the end of the day, like the coaches say, it's not the X's and O's. Sometimes it's the Jimmys and Joes. And how they make the decisions on where they go is a big deal. So, man, I want to thank you for coming on. And you know this from your own careers. Everybody's highlighted. I don't have to restate it. At St. Aug, you had a son at Methodist who had a great career, and one that's breaking records at Guilford College. So if you haven't seen Mr. Dearman play, he is breaking scoring, assist, rebound records at Guilford College. If you get a chance to go over there and see him play, please do so, or catch him online. But I want to thank you again for coming on, brother, and we'll have to have you back.
Okay. Well, thank you guys for having me. It's truly been an honor, and hey, it has truly been a pleasure to be on here with you, Ben, young man.
Thanks for being on here, bro.
Thank you.
Thank you. Y'all have a good evening.
Same to you, bro.
You too.
You too, Mike.
Bye-bye.
Well,
That's a good dude, man. Good
yeah,
dude.
we're gonna
Well,
have
we
to bring
didn't
them
get
back
He
and
is.
into
get
the.
more in
We got to
depth.
bring it
'Cause
back because we didn't get to
yeah, we're
go
gonna have
into
to
the
get
black
more in
college
depth with
and
all
yeah,
that. Yeah, but
yeah.
for the last 30 minutes, you know what we got to get into,
Yes.
and that is this past week and the bowl games that had transpired this past week. So let's start, and I'm gonna run them for those that don't know. We had the Florida Beach Bowl this past Wednesday, where Fort Valley State upended Johnson C. Smith 23-10, and I want to get everybody's thoughts. It was a rainy day, which made it even tougher conditions, and battling being in the middle of the week on a Wednesday, it was just kind of tough. But uh, I want to get some thoughts on it. Let me well before I toss it to McKee, let me just give this shout out. HBCU Plus, great job with the coverage. I thought they did an outstanding job. It was a beautiful stadium. The teams looked impressive. Like I say, it was a little sloppy out there, a little rainy, but nevertheless, uh, everything was tip top in the production and getting everything prepared. So with that, brother McKee, what any thoughts uh, you want to share on the Florida Beach Bowl?
Yeah, I mean, we discussed some of the logistics that were interesting. Uh, the Wednesday night choice of we don't know why uh, they chose Wednesday night, but they did. I'm sure they had their reasons. Uh, the rain that just bad. You can't protect against Mother Nature with an outdoor event. You take your chances, and they just got a monsoon that rained all day on them. That I'm sure hurt crowd attendance. With a game like that, it's going to be a lot of game day decisions. But Johnson C. Smith, I was impressed with where their program has come with their recruiting and with the skill sets of their student athletes. Um, Shout out to Fort Valley State University for coming away with the victory. They did what they've been doing all year, and for the duration of the modern history of their program, went out and took care of business. They've been up against that giant in the SIAC Benedict College the last few years, but outside of losing to them, they played Fort Valley State football every weekend and week out, and they did that Wednesday night. So, shout out to the conveners of that bowl game. I know we had our back and forth about it, which is fair in the arena, the atmosphere of ideas. We can talk about these things back and forth, but you got to give it up to people that take their words beyond just words and put it into action. And if nothing else, the people that put that bowl on, they dared to do it. So now it's everybody's responsibility not to sit back and just criticize, to get involved and help them make it what it could be for those student athletes. That's how I saw it.
Yeah, yeah. Anybody else, Coach? You want to add something to it, Brother
No,
McKee?
no.
D, I know you have to
McKee,
speak.
McKee said we can't criticize, so no.
Well, we not gonna do that.
It
We're not
is,
gonna
it
do
is, it is what it is. I will say this: I'm happy that the kids got to play extra game, and I'll leave it at that.
Let me put another disclaimer out here.
What? I didn't say
No,
it.
no. But
I'm glad the
but
kids got to
but
play
D
another
D
game.
D, you got any thoughts? I don't know. I know you had a busy week with traveling with the Pirates of Riverside.
Yeah, no, it was like I kind of doubled down on what McKee just said, and really make sure what McKee just said and what Kenny just said. Great, they got to play a game. I mean, it was inconvenient on a Wednesday, but you see that happen throughout the bowls of all the bowl games as they go on. It seems like the ones with the least significance get the midweek, but I mean the scheduling and finding the facilities and all that stuff. Like I get it, but no, mean, it was meaningful for the two universities that were involved. So that's always a good thing.
Let me throw
I,
another
I do
disclaimer.
have one question.
Those that are least significant. No,
I got
don't
one.
say that.
I got one question because just think, what was the point? I just I still don't know what the purpose.
The
So I
purpose
mean, you can
was
call it criticism or whatever,
no.
whatever.
Well. Here's the thing.
It's
Here's the
I
thing.
don't know why. I just want to know
No, but
why.
here's the thing. I think we need to look at. We need to look at it
As
from the viewpoint of its potential and what it can grow to be.
it's not
Does
gonna
it
grow
have it?
though if
Well,
your
listen,
conferences
that's
ain't
the
even
discussion.
behind it.
Well, that's the
If your
discussion. Well, no,
conferences ain't
no.
even behind it.
Hold on. But that's the discussion that needs to take place. Do we
Yeah, I
see this as
mean,
something that can grow and blossom and become what the Celebration Bowl is to the MEAC and SWAC? Can it do that in Fort Lauderdale? Does it have the power behind it? That's the question. Because I say this and I pass it back to you, Ken. We don't know if this might have been you know how in TV they shoot pilots to see if it gets picked up. And this might have been the pilot to open up the door, and maybe now there's sponsors that's like, hey, we saw it. You had the events that went well. It was first class, blah, blah, blah. Now this might be the audition, so speak, to pull in more sponsors and get more people behind it. We don't know. We don't know. But I'll pass it back to you.
you got to have a purpose. There's got to be, why are you playing this game? What is the point of the game? Why are we doing this game? Why is
Great
this
point.
game important? Why is this game important? Why should this game be a success? None of those questions were answered. Nothing. And it reflected on those kids. I'm glad for the kids because as a coach, you want an extra game for your kids in your program. But that's not a recruiting tool, what they played. That's not a recruiting tool. That didn't make them any money for your program. It cost you money. I mean, you can't. So no, it wasn't a success, and I don't want people to say that. And if it hurts people's feelings that it is, then yeah, you need to get people in there that's going to help you make it success. Don't rush to do a game just to do it. Anybody can do that.
No,
it's
no.
just that was what is your purpose of doing that game? Your best teams chose to go to the playoffs. Your second best team in the CIAA said we ain't playing that game. So I mean, come on, man. I
Thoughts,
mean,
thoughts. Anybody? Jump in. Jump in.
it's just common sense.
Yeah, well, I, that's fair criticism. And we kind of did that a couple weeks ago. Uh, you put your bowl out there in public viewing, people gonna have the right to criticize it. Uh, and that's just when you go live, just like this show, or when you put a show on the stage, you can't not let people they're gonna have their say.
Right.
And I think, like we said a couple shows before, we couldn't understand Wednesday night. We couldn't understand the location. We saw. I made the statement myself that if there was a payday involved, those coaches and those athletic directors and those presidents would not have balked at it. If so, I just surmised, and I couldn't find it anywhere that, hey, there's no payday here. Ken revealed through some good sources that there was a ticket sale demand of sorts. So to his point, it looked like a not well thought out event for sure. So the only credit I can give them, just me personally, is the fact that they dared to do it.
That they did it.
They did that. That does not negate any of those things aforementioned. And let's be honest, y'all have seen enough of these bowls where if you don't get that many chances. That's the
Yeah.
problem about poor planning.
Right.
You may not even have another one. So you've got to, as Ken said, you've got to bring subject matter experts to the table
Right.
and flesh that thing out, pros, cons, come up with a great strategic plan, get the buy-in from the conferences. For God's sake, some sponsorship. I mean, we're not on the Celebration Bowl yet. I won't go into that, but Cricket Celebration Bowl. Hello,
Right.
you take that out, and you got not the same event. It was just the Florida Beach Bowl. It was not the such and such Florida Beach Bowl. And to be quite honest with you, gentlemen,
Mm.
on my most optimistic day, that's going to be a tall order for
Right.
Division Two
Right.
sports. It's
Right.
going to be tough because
I
the
agree.
fan base is so small.
I
Hey,
agree.
cricket. When the CEO of cricket came on at the beginning of that celebration bowl and said, "We're proud to be a market."
And they locked on for 2 more years.
Yeah,
Cricket
2026.
Cricket signed on for 2. Yeah.
Okay.
Because the
Yeah,
man, come on. You know how many black folks gonna be buying them phones and stuff because of that? And then you got the
yeah.
vice, you
You know
got
how
the
many
vice
were already
president,
were before that?
and you got the vice president of the
Yeah.
United States there pumping it
Hey,
up and it. Come on, man. I mean,
but cricket does better on an iPhone though. And when you got an iPhone, nobody even asks.
but they put, but you got to look at what cricket's doing because they're a big part of y'all don't watch it or anything probably, but they're part of the WWE, which is a multi-billion-dollar business. Wrestling, it's a billion-dollar business, and cricket is a top sponsor for them. So I mean, cricket has the money. I mean, so my thing is, and McKee, you're right. I mean, McKee is exactly right with everything he said. It's just need to help them execute or to figure out what can be done better. But I think it needs to start with why are we playing this game? Why are we doing this bowl? You know? So
Yeah. Well, we're gonna keep an ear close to the ground and see what comes out of this afterwards, and see what the take is on it, and if it was a success or not. We haven't heard anything. So I don't
we
know
don't
what
know
the
what the
measurements
numbers.
are,
We'll
of
wait on
course,
the
but
numbers.
we'll see. We'll see. And we'll keep
But
an
you
ear to
watched
the
the whole
street.
game.
But
But big, real
transitioning,
quick, you watched the whole game. Each school was responsible.
I watched the
Okay, but
second
each
half.
each
I watched the
school,
second half.
I
I'm not
watched
gonna lie,
highlights. I couldn't pull it up on thing, but I saw the
because
highlights.
I got
I
home
saw the
late.
highlights and
Yeah, I
everything.
got home late.
I didn't see. Did you see 5,000 people?
I, I
No,
Because
didn't either.
each school had to sell 2,500 tickets.
Mm-mm,
no, I did not see 5,000 people.
mm-mm.
Um, Not sure I saw 500, but the key to it is
I didn't see
He's
500.
that
stupid.
teams, despite the weather, look pretty good. But
I heard
let's
that, Mackie.
transition. Let's
I heard
transition.
you.
Let's
I heard you.
transition. Let's transition. Now, if you count the bands,
Hold on,
I
which
said
bowl was
they
this?
had about 300.
the beach ball. As they
The
hey, look,
Florida
man.
Beach
As
Bowl.
they said, as Daddy used to say, man, there are more people on the field than in the stand.
Well, I'm not gonna get it.
But go ahead. Let's go to the
Because
big bowl.
believe it or not, though we are critical, we are hoping that this will
Yeah.
find its purpose
Let's
and
go to the
become a
big bowl.
successful bowl. We don't want to.
Let's
We
go
don't
to the
want.
big bowl.
Yeah. But transition to that. Speaking of cricket, the big daddy of them all, as it pertains to the HBCU sports realm, the celebration, the cricket celebration bowl took place this past Saturday, and I'm gonna tell you like this. It was another successful event. Good
Oh,
crowd.
shout out to my
Uh,
Aggies, the band.
Good game. Oh yeah, the number one D1 HBCU band, And shout out to Florida Memorial, since we're talking about Fort Lauderdale. Shout out to Florida Memorial
Mm-hmm.
taking the #1 band D2 NAIA, which they have only been together
Oh
4
wow,
Yeah.
years.
wow.
Oh, there's Amanda. She said her initial prediction was spot on.
What
Yes,
was
it
her
was. And we
what
about to
was her
get into
prediction
that.
again? Oh, she just picked the
Huh?
team. She just
Fam,
picked.
she just didn't want to
She
root
picked.
for him.
Yeah, she didn't
She,
give us.
she
I
just couldn't
I
root.
told you they wouldn't cover.
But listen, now I want to say this. I want to say this. How it came out on fire, jumped out on FAMU. I think shocked the world a little bit. Those that might not have seen them that much, Fam, recovered. Then it looked like Fam was
Run
going
away
to
with it.
start to just ease and run away with it. And then once again, big plays, Howard gets back in it. Um, Eventually, FAMU wins 30-26 in a close game that Ken predicted. He had a 3-point victory. It almost swayed that way to a Howard victory. As McKee called, it was very close. Both of them had close games. Myself and D, on the other hand, had it a little more lopsided. But nevertheless, I want to get everybody's overall thoughts on the game. So uh, let me start it off with. Well, let me start off with D. D, did you have any thoughts, overall
I'm not
thoughts?
surprised. I told y'all seconds before we left the show, Kenny was likely going to be right. It was going to swing in that favor. I said it right before we got off the show. My whole take on this thing was based on what I saw the numbers being. I'm always wrong when it comes to college sports. Kenny said, I was like, he's probably gonna be right. It's probably gonna be a nail biter. They'll probably still lose, but they won't cover the spread. And they went in as a 7.5-point underdog and took off with a 14-point lead. I text everybody and said, I told y'all I was gonna be wrong. Because the numbers said that Howard should have got smoked. That's what the numbers said, but that ain't how it went. So I got nothing. It was that's why my brackets are always terrible. Come basketball time. I based it off the same information. I ain't seen none of the teams play. All I got is statistics. I'm going with that, and my brackets are torn up in the first round every year. So
All I
that's
can visualize.
all I got. I figured he'd
All I
probably
can
be right.
visualize.
Oh,
All I could visualize
We
was
were a field goal away from
Destradamus.
McKee being right, which is how it was gonna win.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
we was that close.
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I was there. I saw Destradamus, and I was sitting there. White people love Wayne Brady because,
You
but
you should hear Wayne Brady's response to that. By the way,
no,
yeah.
I've
Yeah,
heard it.
I've heard it.
I've
It's
heard it.
hilarious.
Amanda says the trophy went to Disney. We're not gonna get into that, Amanda. We're gonna celebrate these teams for their performance. But let me go, McKee. McKee, your overall thoughts on the game?
Well, I thought, I picked Howard 30-28. Uh,
Yeah, hi.
yeah, I thought I picked him. Now, what I ended up seeing, I know we were on a text, we were texting each other, and once I saw the teams and the line play, I think I made a comment. It's a lot of football to be played, and
You
that just
did.
showed I didn't see. Fam, you just looked better at the line of scrimmage to me early. The kick return was a big boost of adrenaline for Howard, but special teams plays have to be sustained. And I said, well, this 14-0, it's a lot of good fortune for Howard, but I just didn't see them sustaining it. But I picked them, partly because I wanted to sing "Baby I'm Yours" by Shy, and I'm always looking for an opportunity to sing since I can't get a stage. I must not be that good. At my age, I can't get a stage. I just must not be that good. But
McKee, the next time you want to sing, just walk in any place and just say, "Do the people want to hear the song?" I say, "Do the people want to hear the song?" And just sing the damn song. Don't, don't ask.
what you know no good. What you know no good. Uh, I end.
Y'all
I
sick.
end.
Y'all sick.
Come on, McGowan. Now
Y'all
I'll end
sick.
with this one. I'll say this. I said that FAMU had been kind of on cruise control the last 5 or 6 games,
Yeah.
and I think that's true. But it showed how good they really are, as opposed to showing that they were vulnerable. They have another gear, like a lot of championship teams do, and they just kind of lollygag. I mean, it's one of those games where you do kind of wonder what they would be in the first round of the 1AA tournament, and that's not comparing it with the Celebration Bowl at all. I'm just saying. You want to see what a team that kind of coasts like that and doesn't look like they were really challenged, a large part of their season. They just don't. They just kind of did it because they could. I'll end with this. Um, Big ups to cricket, like Ken said. They'll be with the game through 2026. I just want to implore the MEAC and the SWAC fans to continue to support this game. I say that because the game attendance was down about 8,000 people. Now, that takes it back to about where it was pre Deion Sanders. If you look at the attendance of the Celebration Bowl, in the beginning, it was about 28,000, 35,000, 37. Then, if you look at the 2 years that Jackson State played in it, it was 48 and 49,000. That prime time effect is real. People just come out for him. Now, this year, it dipped back down to 41,000, which is still over what it was, but I think you're still riding some of the wind of prime because he has an effect, just like Jackson State football. His effect keeps going, but you gotta sustain it. So that's just my word to the MEAC and the SWAC. Continue to show up for this bowl, no matter who's playing. It could be Prairie View
Mhm.
versus Delaware State. But if we want to see this thing continue to be on ABC, continue to be having major sponsors, make it your trip for the winter and go down and support those scholar athletes. I'll hold my comments and hear from Ken.
Go ahead, Ken.
Uh, so real quick,
Do I need to put the
yeah, you
disclaimer
might
out
need. No,
first?
okay. So first of all, Howard's coaching staff that needs to take that defense because if you look at all of Howard's scores, it was off of turnovers and special teams.
Mm-hmm.
The one offensive touchdown came off of a big turnover that the defense got, where they could only do 2 plays, and thank God it was running plays to get in the end zone. Their offense was Howard's offense was horrible, and a lot of that had to do with, and I think what you talked about McKee line play is they couldn't run the ball. And when they
Mm-mm.
couldn't run the ball and had to depend on that their quarterback to throw them out of it, he just couldn't do it. He was not what Musa was for Fam. Musa showed
Mm-hmm.
why, even though he at times it took him a while to get going. It took him a while to get going, but a lot of that was Howard's defense. Howard's defense. If it wasn't for Howard's defense, Fam covers easy. But because of Howard's defense, who did an outstanding job, Fam, by the way, they yeah, Musa showed why he came from a top program and why he was a top quarterback at the end. Made some big throws and came up big. And it's like McKee said, it was so much football. Even though Howard jumped on a 14, it was just so much football to play. And the striking ability, the big playability that Fam had, you knew they were going to get back into this game. Could Howard control the ball and put it in the momentum? And it was just too much to ask that defense to carry that game like that. But they did
Yeah.
the defense did a great job. Defense did a great job. Other thing is, I just got upset with what they talk about with us, how the coaches and the coach and some of the things that on the coaching as far as administrative, like not going for two when Howard gets that big interception, goes up, they're up one, and he kicks a field goal instead of going for two, not knowing, let me get up three, so a field goal just ties if my defense does what they're. I mean, not doing that. Your defense gets a big stop when you're down 30-26, and they stop FAMU, which they had, and you're going to get the ball back and not calling that timeout to save time. I mean, that just you just can't do, especially on that stage with people looking and the things big. I mean, that's the only thing that I saw about the game. Other than that, successful. Great to have the vice president. I mean, it just set up great with the vice president there and everything. I think they got the show they wanted, guys. I think they got the show they wanted, and so I cannot fault that. But other than that, I feel for Howard, but I do agree with McKee. I think better team won. That's why I predict. I knew it was going to be close because of how it was the different styles in Howard's defense, but I think the better team did in fact win.
I just want to say this, Musa,
He was
Musa.
definitely the better quarterback. He was definitely
Yeah, yes. Now, the only thing with Musa, he does have them lapses where it looks like he's not that
yeah,
interested, and he turns it over, doesn't protect the ball, and a lot of that might have been to the points you made. They haven't had as much challenge
Howard's defense played
this year,
great.
or they had another year, and when Howard smacked them in the
Yeah,
mouth, it kind of caught them off guard. But you know, to the point though, it was a great game. Yes, I agree, Amanda. Musa
but
is
he got it
inconsistent,
done.
but I think the battle was won at the line of scrimmage, and like McKee talked about the interior play. A lot of the reasons Howard was held in check is because they could not
Couldn't
establish a
run.
running game, and they're used to putting up 160 yards of rushing a game, which is probably some of the best, or probably the best in the MEAC, or close to second best maybe, but behind Central. But when you can't establish that, and all they have to do is pin their ears back for your passing game and rush the quarterback, or they were they were crushing those screens, which led to a big interception at the end of the game. I mean, if you're running the ball strong enough, it frees up those few seconds you need
Exactly.
to open up that other
Exactly.
stuff. And that was key. And that was key. But I'm gonna say this. Uh, do we see the tides turning maybe with this rivalry, this SWAC MEAC? Will this start a run of the SWAC maybe?
No, because
Start
I think it's a
MEAC?
different ball game with Central. I really do. I think it's a different ball game.
Well,
I
I
think it's
do
a
too.
different ball game with Central.
But here's the thing. But here's the
Because
thing.
Howard exposed.
Central is losing the
Yeah,
man. Central is losing the man.
but I mean they just.
The man.
Well, but I mean,
One of the best players I ever seen. Rashard. So,
but I mean, I'm
you know
saying
what I'm
this year.
saying?
I think this year. I think it would have been different with Central if Central didn't lose to Howard and everything. I think Howard's defense exposed exposed Fam and gave them and made Fam have to play. Because it just, but
Yeah.
I think it's a different. If they had a line that could have battled with them, I think Central's line would have done a better job. Had that have been, it would have been. I think it just would have been a different ball game.
But that still doesn't, regardless of the fact, Howard was in the game
Yeah,
with the
yeah.
lead
But that just goes to
in that
show
fourth
get how
quarter.
good football.
So
Yeah,
so so that's
yeah.
what I'm saying. But I look at, I know, I'm sorry, man, I had to remind you of that. But I'm just looking at it, you know, it's hard to replace a player like Rashad. So now, no knock, because the Central is a good team, and I know they'll be competing regardless because they've always been in contention of the MEAC titles, even when A&T was there and gave A&T a couple L's. But when you replace a dynamic player like that,
Yeah, but
it makes it
But
tough.
that's what you
let
thinking
me throw
nobody
something in
else is
there on
going.
that.
And fam look like
But
they
they
gonna keep
gonna,
that
but they
ball
gonna
rolling.
get
Go ahead,
better.
McKee. I'm sorry.
Everybody's gonna get better.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
and big shout out to I was able to go do some work with Victoria's Visions earlier today, and James Rob
A&T, that they call low.
LOAT, kind of like the GOAT, but it's an L. And they established that group to support women's athletic competition at A&T. Because sometimes Title IX showed us that it was an uneven type of attention on women's sports. So big shout out to Lope. They didn't just talk about it; they do something about it, and they put their money into A&T's women's sports. Great hanging out with them today and doing the painting with them. But I brought that up to say, this show was really a dedication to former Commissioner Free of the MEAC. And one thing he used to talk about was developing players. You know, at the 1AA level, you can't get the 5 stars all the time. So I give Central, and Amanda, I want you to hear this because I think you were prophetic when you talked about the injuries and the illness that North Carolina Central had that made Howard look a little better that day. That doesn't take the win away from Howard. You win against who you're up against, but it was a good explanation, I think. I thought about that Saturday. But let me say this in credit of North Carolina Central, Rashard he was not at the beginning of his career who he ended up being at the end. He was raw talent. But to Central's credit, they developed Richard. They developed him. He got there as a
Yeah.
good legs, good arm, but hadn't quite put the whole game together. Wasn't reading defenses to that degree. The game hadn't slowed down for him yet. He was just a raw Florida high school talent. But to North Carolina Central's credit, they developed Richard. So my hope, for the sake of the MEAC and for the sake of the competitive nature of the Celebration Bowl, that they will do that with another class of players, and that although you're right, Ben, he's the best player they may have had, but he's special because he became that with the coaching that happened at North Carolina Central. That's a great story. It's not like they robbed a Power 5 quarterback and he
Right.
came in and just dominated what he was supposed to do. He's been doing that since he was 6. No, he was good, but they matured him. Big shout out to the North Carolina Central coaching staff, and big shout out to Coach Lavelle Moulton on the hardwood for being the most winning coach in North Carolina Central's basketball history. Just this week,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out
yeah.
to him. Shout out. That's right. That's right. That's right. And you should be proud. Oh, man. You should be proud
I
of the
just hate
big
that they
things
did
North
it
Carolina
against my
Central is
boys.
doing as an athletic program.
They did it against my
Huh?
boys.
Yeah. But that's key. And that's key. And I think that Central now being established as uh the powerhouse, if we say on the uh, FCS level here in North Carolina, because they've beaten A&T, they've beaten
Elon.
Elon, they've beaten Campbell. They beat a lot of the competition around, and now I think if you're a kid that wants to stay close to home and you're looking and weighing on the FCS level, Central is the place to be now. Central is the place to be. Uh, and I think they're going to win a lot of those recruiting wars to keep some of the best talent here in the state. And I know they're going to be competing for that crown
Right.
every year in
And
the
the, and the
MEAC.
t-
Uh,
and the t- but I wanted to
Go
touch
ahead.
on like what McKee said, or you might have said about what Sam might have done if they went into the playoffs, or just thinking about what they could have done in the playoffs. I think that goes to my point about the Florida Beach Bowl. They have made
Mhm.
the Celebration Bowl bigger than the playoffs. Am I making sense? To where teams,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it I'm trying to get to there because this means this. You get what I'm saying? And you don't have
Yeah.
that with, and that's what I
Mhm.
mean by, yeah, Florida A&M ain't thinking about playoffs. They thinking about Celebration Bowl. Playoffs is second to them, or second to the Division I AA black colleges, because they see the Celebration Bowl as the national championship, or what they, and so that's what
Mhm.
I'm talking about. How do you get that for the Division II level, right, McKee? You get what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think that's very, what you said is very real about, yeah, I wonder what they would have done if they would have went to the playoffs. But Sam, them top teams ain't thinking that. They thinking we trying to get here because it's bigger than the playoffs. And that's the mentality, like, about to keep it going, to keep supporting it, and to keep the Celebration
Yeah.
Bowl relevant and everything. Is that's what these we shouldn't be scared. I know you. We shouldn't be scared if a Prairie View and a Delaware State make it to that. We but we get scared when we hit those teams because you worry about attendance and
Mhm.
travel and all that. But I mean, but that's right. It shouldn't be that. It's like this is the Black College National Championship. We all going to Atlanta to watch it. But our team, no, we going there to party, have fun, do what we do, support MEAC
Mm-hmm.
and SWAC athletics.
Well, and as Amanda just pointed out, and she agrees with you, but she's going to the HBCU Legacy Bowl, which you will
Yes.
get to see these great quarterbacks, Musa,
You see how many
Rashad,
quarterbacks they got
play
in there
against each
though?
other and all these great.
You see how many quarterbacks they got playing
Yeah,
there? How are they gonna play? Like
yeah.
each one
So
gets
that's
one
I'm
series
excited.
or what? I'm like, how are they gonna play?
No, they gonna get them. You don't have
But
to
I mean,
worry
did you
about that.
see? But did
You
you see
just
how
be
many
ready. You
quarterbacks
just
they
be ready
got?
to support the
They
game.
got like 50.
They usually have. They only got about four
No,
quarterbacks.
look
Calm
at it.
down.
They got like 12 quarterbacks.
I'm looking
12
at it.
quarterbacks.
Hold on. Good. Stop it.
It's
Stop
like
it.
each
Stop it.
of them will go.
Stop
Is this your series? Oh, where my helmet? Like, I'm like,
it. Yeah, they got about 12 quarterbacks. Don't worry
yeah.
about
And
all
I
that.
stopped. First of all, I stopped counting at 12. I didn't even keep going. I'm like,
No, it's about 16
how
quarterbacks.
they
It's
gonna
about
play?
16
You don't get
quarterbacks.
that many. Do you get that
Oh,
many
hold on.
possessions?
Don't, hey, hold on.
Do you get
Hold
that
on.
many
Hold
possessions
on.
in a
Hold on.
game?
See,
16
see, that ain't what we. That ain't.
in a football game? Do you get 16 possessions? I don't even think you can get
Hey, listen,
16
listen.
possessions in a
We not.
football game.
It's gonna be 8 on each team, homie.
You might get 8 in there.
They're gonna have 8 on
So
each
A
team.
nobody
lot.
gonna get
Like
more
it
than
ain't gonna be all
nobody gonna
16
get more
or
than 2.
it's gonna be way more than 16 possessions. So you better make the most of your shot.
Two, because you only
Yeah.
got one
See,
series.
stop it.
You
See,
better.
I see us heading down this road again, McKee. I'm gonna stop it right here. We go head down
No,
this road
I
again.
can't ask the question. I can't ask the question. I asked Becky, do you get 16 possessions in one? I didn't think
It's a
so.
lot of quarterbacks, man.
That's a
Oh,
lot of quarterbacks.
it's 16 quarterbacks signed
Because just
on.
think, if you
Yes.
get, but just think
So
about
that
it.
means 8
If you
on
get
each
one
team.
series,
They might be playing 8 quarters, Ken. They might each get a quarter.
quarters. Uh,
I'm
I
just
was
throwing
like,
something out
or
there. I
maybe it's
listen.
30-minute quarters instead of 15.
That sounds like murder. That's right,
I,
man. Kid gonna
no,
get us
man,
in
I'm
trouble.
just asking
We
the
not
question.
going at the
I'm just
Legacy
asking
Bowl.
question.
We still trying to get back in the graces of the Florida Beach Bowl. So
I'm
listen,
just
the
Hey,
Legacy
what?
Bowl and the Legacy Bowl is in New
Why you
Orleans.
think?
It's in New
Why you
Orleans.
think I was so complimentary earlier of the Florida Beach Bowl, man? I can't. I gotta make up with him, man. I can't.
Because
That's right.
Baggy started it.
That's
Baggy
right.
started it. And he was laughing.
But, but we're not gonna do that. The Legacy Bowl. I don't care if there's 29
They
quarterbacks.
got 29 run. I
We
think they
go.
got
We
29
go.
running
We go.
back.
Wow.
Once again, y'all.
I just
I
saw
have
those
no thoughts.
quarterbacks and I was just like, how they go play
But
all
look.
these quarterbacks?
But look. But going
Good question.
forward, and I want to go back to a point Amanda brought up. Listen, the Rattlers are already talking about going on a winning streak. I don't know who's gonna be ready to dethrone them. And like I say, you know, I like what I saw with Howard. Their program on the move. We know Central is always gonna be
What year
there in
was
the
Howard's
tops
quarterback?
competing. Uh,
What year was Howard's quarterback?
Senior.
he's playing in the
He's
Legacy
a
How?
Bowl.
senior.
He's a senior.
How is he
He's
playing in the
playing.
Legacy Bowl?
He's on that note. Let us get ready.
He playing in the Legacy Bowl? Well,
Uh,
they
uh,
handing off then.
he's playing. He's one of the
They handing
16.
off. Then they
He's
must be
one of the
handing off
16.
when he gets in there. Because that boy couldn't throw.
I want to let all.
I'm
I want to
sorry.
let all our Bison fans. I want all our Bison fans to know that we don't
No, I
share in
don't
the
know. My
opinion of
fault. I do
Coach.
not fault
Coach.
him. I do not. You know who I faulted. I text y'all who I faulted. Yes. I know Ken. Yes. Yes.
Oh
Uh-huh.
yes. Yeah.
Yes.
We know them.
Oh yeah. What's that? Ooh. Oh,
She talking about you.
talk about the
She talking
quarterback
about
from
you.
Howard. That's what she talking about.
But no, she talking about you going. Oh, well, maybe. But I think she talking about you getting us in
No, I'm
trouble.
talking.
But
Yeah,
anyway,
she's.
yes, they know. They know.
Yeah, because I'm surprised he in the Legacy Bowl. But it's not his fault
Okay,
though. It-
that's
oh
that's
wow.
is her blood uncle.
All right.
Yeah. Ken Canyon is
See, we are family.
he played for A&T in
He
that
did.
Stony Polite era, right? And he's on
Yeah, sure did.
MTV's what's the name of that show? He's a relationship coach on there.
Yeah, and they got they own him and his wife. Yeah, they got
Yeah, Simply Net. Yeah. The comedian.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no
they
doubt,
big
no
time
doubt.
Aggies.
See,
small
that's what
world,
we
small
about.
world.
Connection.
Big time Aggies.
About connections.
But yeah,
Oh,
man.
Amanda,
But
we knew you were connected to greatness, and we knew something was up.
so Ken is his best
Okay.
friend.
Wow,
Okay, okay.
Wow.
wow. We interviewed Ken on Biographies TV.
Oh, you did, man. I hate I
Yeah,
missed that one.
It didn't air. We still working on the
Oh, you got to get the editing.
yeah
it's in
in
production.
production.
It's in production.
Look,
But
but no,
but
but no
but
disrespect.
but
What intended whatsoever.
leave that boy alone.
No, I
Ken said
told you
whatsoever.
Leave that boy alone,
I
man.
told you who I blame for that though.
Ooh, he's outnumbered.
Wow.
Ken Canyon is outnumbered. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Hey,
that's that's a
Ken
lot.
is a
It
bad
sounds like
man. Ken Canyon is a bad man. And man,
Yeah.
he is so convincing. He helps me with my relationship, and I'm not even in one. I sit there and watch his show like, oh, I'm gonna do better. That man is good at
God,
what he
that is
does.
hilarious. That is hilarious.
so,
That's hilarious.
so on that note,
I bet you do.
I bet you do.
I
We
bet
said at
you
the
do.
same time.
but but the HBCU Legacy Bowl is in
Yep.
February. I just want everybody to make sure to mark the calendar. Um,
Where is it, Ben?
February 24th. It's in
Yeah.
New Orleans, Louisiana at Yeoman Stadium,
Yeah,
February 24th,
don't you find it
2024.
great that they're doing this? But do you remember somebody doing something like this in Atlanta? Because Jerry Rice played in it,
Yes,
and
in the
yeah,
80s. The
Freedom
Freedom
of
Bowl,
All Star
All-Star
Classic
Classic.
to showcase black
Yes,
college athletes. I remember that.
yes. So,
So it's, but
but
this is awesome.
we've
New
had
Orleans.
several All-Star games. Uh, shout out uh, uh, to the couple Benedict Tigers in the game.
But
Tigers
that's
represent.
the
Decent.
great that they
Um,
that say that's
but
just great, man. That they doing
yeah,
this again.
so
So I want people to know it needs to be noted. This was done before, so don't. I'm getting ready for them to be like the inaugural or this has never been done or what did they say? No, it's been done.
no, they started this a
But they
couple of
need to
years ago.
know. But they
They
need to
started
know that
Legacy Bowl a
this
couple years.
was already done. This ain't new. This has been done. Ask Jerry Rice.
They know. They know. We gonna let them know.
Ask
We gonna remind them.
Taylor.
But John
Ask them.
Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
But on that note, listen. Let's wind it down before Ken gets us in trouble with the NFL Network,
Man,
with the
you got.
NFL
I'm not
and
saying. Look,
HBCU
man.
legacy. Listen, but look, do we got any final thoughts? Final shout outs? I'll start with Ken. Let me get you out the way in case something go left. In case something go left. We go ahead, Ken. Any final thoughts? Get
Oh
it
my
all
God.
out
Well,
before
oh
we
my
close out.
God. Oh my God. Looking forward to basketball. Final thoughts looking forward to basketball. Like I said, I got to give a shout out to my Aggies for getting off of that winless snide. And one of my former players actually played, Evan Joyner, played 14 minutes, scored 4 points, man, and put some shots up. So very proud of him. Glad he's back in home, and very proud. And so just happy that they got off of that. I hate to see them struggling, but I'm glad they get a taste of victory.
Yes, yes, amen. And my Benedict Tigers are undefeated in basketball. We hard to beat in any sport. Women's basketball,
Hey,
men's basketball, football. We just
take on our
yes.
bowling. Take on our bowling.
Hold on, Ken. Ken, you need to read that. Yes, I agree, Amanda wholeheartedly. I need to put a caption above his head with the disclaimer. I need to put a caption up there. And look, his partner in crime ain't on right
He
now.
left.
He like
He
to
left.
stir it up. So 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 I'm gonna put a little caption when they speak every time.
Gosh.
And it says when Ken speaks,
The views.
please don't take nothing personal. but but go ahead,
Just
Yeah, a
McKinney.
wrong,
couple
man.
things.
Just wrong.
Hopefully, I
Just
won't
wrong.
take too long on this. Couple things. First of all, big shout out to those players, those student athletes on both sides of the ball Saturday. They did a great job. It's about them and those coaches and staff that got them to that place. Big shout out to them as well. FAMU predicting to go on a run. Let me say this. You asked that question, Ben. Let's speak to that real quick. Man, they are. I mean, Coach Willie Simmons is solid. I
Mhm.
mean, he's not verbose. He's humble, but he gets his kids prepared to play. He knows how to recruit. They are a problem. Now, I wouldn't be predicting how many I'm going to run off. I don't think that's smart, and I don't know who said it, but maybe that's not from the official FAMU staff. I don't think they. But FAMU has never been lacking for confidence. I
Nope.
mean, all they have to do is look on their board and look at those championships. They were the progenitors of the Florida Gators. They were the progenitors of University of Florida and Florida
Right.
State. All that was in one school once upon a time, and it was called FAMU. They've been doing this for a long time. That's why Commissioner Ken Free jumped in his LTD and drove to Tallahassee and pulled off one of the biggest diplomatic wins of black college history and came away with that signature, came away with that, yes, we will join the MEAC. So, hey, everybody on this call has been knowing the power of the Rattler. Oh, we know what they can do, particularly when they recruit Florida like they can. It's going to be a problem. Let me give a quick shout out before I throw it to Coach Terrence Graves, the new head coach down at Southern University, who was a big encourager for us even doing this show. When I bounced it off him, he said, respect of Commissioner Free. And so, one more thing before I pass it. Chennis Berry. Chennis Berry went to Benedict College, which is a proud school. It's a great school. But it wasn't the citadel for football. It hadn't had football back that long. And he was able to flip some recruiting norms and get Benedict College to be the big dog in Black College Division II football. He's in Orangeburg now. He's recruiting with that bulldog on his back. So Rattlers, Bison, don't sleep on SC State with Chennis Berry at the helm. That's all I'm saying. And I'll end with this one. Big shout out to Amanda. Glad you arrived back in Minneapolis safe. Big ups to you. We appreciate you and all the other viewers so much. But you contribute so much. You give us a boost, and we appreciate you so much. That's me, Ben.
D, what you got? Final shout.
I'm gonna keep it short. Let me give a shout out to number one, Howard and FAMU for putting on a terrific game, regardless of how you feel about it. That was a terrific game. It was entertaining. So I wanted to shout out to them. Congratulations again to Howard and the Vice President of the United States.
Yes.
That was so sweet. I almost shed a tear.
Hey, let me say one more thing before we go, Ben.
My contact fogged up.
Let me say one more thing. Commissioner Free had a saying. He said he backed his car in his driveway so he could start every day moving forward. Let me say this. HBCU community, do not sell yourself short. I was talking with Ben earlier this week. This is a 30-second rant. When I read about Simon Green Atkins at Winston-Salem State University coming down here from Chicago to start Slater Industrial Institute under the threat of lynching, they told him if he came and started that school, his life was in danger. But he did it on faith. So, we're not talking high platitudes here. We can do these things. Kind of like Coach Ken said a few weeks ago. If we take the ceiling is the roof. Did Michael Jordan say that? I don't know where to go with that, but it is. And but it is. We cannot. Let's not limit ourselves out of fear and prescribing constraints that don't necessarily have to be the case. The Celebration Bowl is a proof that if we put a good brand of football out on that field, we come out in big numbers. We do what we know how to do, which is educate and entertain. Like Ken said, it's bigger than the 1AA playoffs. And I watched South Dakota State versus the University of Albany in the 32 below weather of South Dakota. And it was, and I'm gonna leave it right there.
But that was good. That was good, McKee.
Before we sign out, it was. So before we sign out, once again, shout out to Amanda. Thank you for tuning in. Glad you made it safely. Keep doing what you're doing, sparking the fire in those MEAC swag chat groups and keeping us on point here at MEAC'n Up. And then I want to say once again a final salute to Swack and the Fool, and they better show the Jaguars some love because a new day is here down there in Baton Rouge,
They
right?
better show fam
So
some
so
love.
so
They
I
brought
don't know. That
they
might
brought
be
the
a long
trophy
way
back to
away.
the SWAT.
I don't know. They still acting funny. But shout out once again to those schools, and we're truly grateful for what's going on at these institutions and with these bowls, and we're gonna push to get the Florida Beach Bowl there, and we're gonna leave it at that, Ken. We're gonna leave it at
Why
that.
you say kids? D and Mackey was
I had
D
to
and
take one
Mackey
more
were the
shot
ones
before we go.
laughing
Hey,
2 weeks
I had
ago.
to
They were
take
the
one
ones
more shot
laughing.
before we go. They atoned. In the words of Richard Free, redemption,
Oh
redemption.
man.
You too, man.
And
Have a
hold
wonderful
on,
week.
Ben. Hold
Get
on,
some
Ben.
rest.
Hold on.
Oh, go ahead, go
Real
ahead.
quick. I was, and let me say this for our people that tune into this show.
Go ahead.
Ken had a straight face as he said all those things. I couldn't take it, man. He had a straight face doing all of that, and I couldn't take
Ooh.
Oh, let me say this. Let me say this for all our listeners. For the holidays, we will be taking a break the next 2 Sundays. So this is a wrap. It looks like for 2023. We should have
Oh man.
kind of for the MEAC'n UP. Because we want everybody to enjoy the holidays and their families and do what they do when they do it, how they do it. So this is a wrap for 23. And we gonna come back me acting up, me
Basketball.
acting up in 2024, and we gonna get into some beat ball and we gonna still keep an ear to the ground on what's happening with the football, because you still got coaching vacancies and stuff that need to be filled. So we're gonna try to keep everything up to date. But on that note, I appreciate the crew. We appreciate you, and you know what to do. Feeling like Jesse Jackson today. Y'all be good. We'll see you in 2024. Peace.